Okay.
2025, the year that we finally get alien contact.
Just to let you know, I'm going to be doing a live class very soon on the False Awakening, the golden age of Saturn and the rise of AI. It's absolutely not suitable for YouTube, but it is in my private class. Click on the link below. I'll see you on the other side. Okay. All right. So when you, I'm assuming when you say alien contact, you mean the controlled narrative of it being announced on mainstream media?
Well, I'd just like to make an alien friend, you know?
They're all okay. They've been here. They've been here forever. They will remain here forever. They're part. They have made themselves part of the human experiment in various ways. Aliens have had a lot to do with our. And remember, we're aliens. No one's from here. So even when we say aliens and human, I just think it's a misnomer. It's very misleading because no one's from here. No one and nothing is from the physical universe, right? Nothing is from here. It's projected here from the higher selves that exist in higher dimensions that project so they could experience physical reality. But aliens are always around, and they're not difficult to communicate with. They're absolutely not. They're more difficult to communicate with when you use physical sensory perception. So when you actually activate some of your higher intuitive functionality, it's easy to sort of tap in, communicate with them, see where they are. I'd be very leery of alien contact that is supported and reported by the mainstream media, which is completely and utterly controlled. So we've had lots of alien contact for quite a long time. And a lot of our matrix programming comes from a couple of types of aliens, the majority of which are actually want to see what's best for us. Some don't. But are we going to have an official? Are we going to have a supported agenda? I don't know. If they feel like it supports the agenda that they want to drive home, then they'll do it. If not, then they won't.
I just thought maybe there'd be like an alien like launch party, you know, where we could get together and there's music and snacks, you know. That could be fun.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah, could be. I would go to that party.
Now, RJ, what alien languages are you fluent in?
Pig Latin.
Ooh.
That's about it. Yeah. Alien
Klingon.
No, I'm not fluent in Klingon. I mean, I would study it.
Maybe, you understand it, you just can't speak it, right?
But you know what? If I had to choose, though, I would get tutelage from Worf, who was the Klingon on the more recent Star Trek than probably Leonard Nimoy, which is the original Spock. I'd probably go with Worf. I think I would learn better from Worf, for whatever that's worth.
One thing that I do love that you do, RJ, is you just cut through everything and take us back to what really matters and like knowing the self, right? And just like you say, everything else is downstream. And that's kind of like my next question is, why do we care? Why do so many people care about alien contact? Or what do you think?
Well, I think because certain people or souls already know that this is the truth of what is, and so they can feel it, and in some sense they would like the confirmation of it, that they've always known that their aliens exist and that we interact with them and they interact with us. So I think part of it is just the confirmation of the inner knowingness. But if you already know, you don't need confirmation, right? As long as you know, that's good enough. So it could lead to some very interesting collaborations between based upon their intention and based upon our intention, right? It could lead to some very interesting collaborations in terms of things like technologies or what I have found most interesting about interacting with aliens is that they also have belief systems and agendas, just like human beings do. So, in other words, Aliens are not enlightened beings. They're not. So therefore, they're still working along their own way towards or on an evolutionary path to their own self-realization or enlightenment. So aliens are not enlightened or self-realized. So they too have agendas. They absolutely have agendas. They have ways in which that they operate, right? So in that sense, they're not that different. They are, but they're not that different than a non-self-realized or enlightened human being. That they're still operating with programs in terms of the way that they operate, what they feel is best based upon the beliefs and the concepts that they utilize. So, and that was actually the very reason why I became totally disinterested after a period of time of communicating with aliens, is that I just felt like I was just answering their questions. So we want to work with ourselves in a masterful way. That's really the goal, to know thyself and all thy infinite potential. And so aliens aren't necessarily doing that. Most of them are not. So that's why it's not that, ultimately it's not that interesting. But there's so many different advanced species that exist that it will help us understand our role within the greater reality, and just how important the human experiment, which is the experiment in individualized free will, just how important it actually is, because of what it does for all consciousness, not just when we are incarnate as a human. We play the most important role because of that experiment. So there's all these different potentials about, in terms of quote unquote open contact, but I would be very leery of anything that is supported by mainstream media. That's all. I hope, my desire is that open contact comes from individuals here that are working with themselves in an advanced way, and they don't have any ties to any organizations or any agendas except the flowering of their own consciousness. And so I hope that open contact comes from experiences like that, rather than something that is managed and controlled by some 3-letter agency or government.
Well, they got to put their stamp of approval on it, RJ, or else it's not real. Last questions with regards to aliens. You said that they're already here, so technically we could coexist with them then, right? I guess that was my question. Could we all be here, or would they not want to hang out with us because we're like a lower level?
Yeah, it just depends. Like, that's the question's too broad, because there's too many different kinds of aliens. There's lots of aliens that live within the earth. There's lots of aliens that live in the oceans. Most of them they're right here. They've always been right here. And again, if we adjust the electromagnetic frequency of our brain, we can tune into these different frequencies, and we can actually see and interact with these beings. And that was the excuse me, that was one of the devices that was a carryover from Atlantis. There was a carryover that went to super advanced ancient Egypt, was this technology. Just think of a radio, or a small radio. And when we turn the dial on the radio, obviously we pick up a different frequency. So there was a technology that, again, was a carryover from more advanced aspects of Atlantis that ancient Egypt used. And they would turn this dial, and it would raise the entire frequency of the local environment. And so as the dial got turned, it's almost like, as an analogy, a light goes on, and then we can see that next frequency that is outside of physical sensory perception. And so every time you turn that dial, it's like another level, another level, another level, and another level was made available to us. And that was a technology that we had. So they're always here. And this is the chance, and that's where I was saying, this is the chance for a very interesting collaboration. And this is part of why Atlantis and ancient Egypt, why they were so advanced, is because they were in constant communication with far more advanced beings. And so they would be able to learn directly from them, get understandings that we did not currently have by utilizing this device. Now, this device really is the I Am. By tuning the electromagnetic frequency of our brain, and you could think of that as various levels, meditation, we can still do this. We can do it right now. Anyone can do it. Anyone can do it. So it could lead to fantastic collaborations. It could lead, but again, this is technology. So it more has to do with the attention on and within the I am. And that's the greatest efficacy of the evolution of consciousness possible, is when the attention is firmly focused on and within the I am and not anything outside of it. But by doing that, we can alter the electromagnetic frequency of our brain and start to take in more of what we are, because the outside reality is a projection from within your consciousness. So actually, you start to experience more of your own consciousness, because everything is contained within. The all is in the one and the one is in the all. So, and it's just projected outward. So that was a really long-winded answer. So hopefully I covered it for you.
I came here wanting to know about when I would see an alien, and I found out I was one. So
Yeah.
what a day. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And I think a lot of that comes from like thinking someone's going to come in and save us, or they have some technology that's going to, revolutionize everything. But like we talked about earlier, the better the technology sometimes is not better for us and our own evolution. So
these advanced technologies will be in our hands once we are more responsible with how we work with ourselves and therefore each other. It's that simple. It's that simple. Supremely advanced technologies show up, whether it's given to aliens or they're invented from somebody or they're downloaded or they're given or they're found, all the same thing. When we start working with ourself in a more holistic and expansive fashion, because then we will be more responsible in regards to the actions that we take, because they will be more in alignment with our true desire and intention of our own evolution of consciousness. So these technologies will show themselves when we're ready to work with them properly and optimally.
So when we look at a guy like Tesla, was he working with himself in such a way that allowed for those technologies to come through then?
Yeah, absolutely. Nikola Tesla is, his life plan, if you will, was to offer up, and he did, tremendous advancements and inventions, and the main one being free energy to move humanity out of the enslavement that it continues to put itself in. That was one of his main desires in terms of his life plan. Now he did discover how to do that. The Ascend the Frequencies healing technique about accessing these higher frequency energies and utilizing them for healing and self-realization work in almost the exact same way. It almost works in the exact same way, right? So these truths are always there. We just have to avail ourselves. But his shortcoming, if you will, as a way to say it, was that he didn't really play the game that was needed to be played in order to make sure that these technologies got out to the masses. He really thought that these discoveries, because they're so profound and how much they would impact humanity and its freedom, he thought that everyone would be excited about it as well. And that's not how it works. There's a bit of being naive on his part, and not realizing what it is he needed to do in order to make this happen. And I think part of it is just that we just weren't ready. We just weren't ready. That's all. He was, but we as a species just weren't ready.
Man, I'd really like to get that free energy back. That sounds pretty good. So maybe one day, we'll see what happens. It seems like all these great ideas and inventions that would, save people a lot of money, they get crushed pretty quickly. If you are unaware, I lead a global meditation where all of us come together with a single pointedness of focus by harnessing our attention and intention, which is a massive amplification of our energy, which yields greater efficacy in terms of what it is that we desire to manifest. If you want to help change the world, literally, sign up on the link below, because we're going to be doing another one very soon.